such that we New Zealanders deserve nothing less.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to take this opportunity to reply to Minister Parata's statements around democracy and how important democracy is in this process. The Minister needs to realise that she is speaking about democracy under an urgency process, which makes a farce of the statement in the first place. She is talking about democracy, sir, by Facebook, and she is talking about democracy by pandering to lobby and focus groups. So that is not democracy. If the Minister would dare to stand up in this House and extol the virtues of democracy to New Zealanders, I dare her and her government to apply the same fine principles of democracy that she would extol to this House to the debate around secret tribunals that would undermine the sovereignty of this New Zealand government under ISDS, for example. But specifically to the bill?
Yes, we don't want to talk about those sort of things. They're not part of Part 1. Fletcher Tepito.
Thank you, sir. Specifically to the bill, Part 1, Section 4 and 5.2. This government, with the support of the Green Party, are being, as Minister Joyce would say, they're being tricky, sir. They're being tricky. They are allowing, by order of council, the current 4 flag options to actually be removed completely. So what they're doing is not adding red peak. They are removing all 4 options, and then instead of simply adding red peak in this debate, Mr. Hudson, they're adding another option. So actually what we find is that after this government puts this legislation through the House, New Zealanders won't find necessarily that they'll be discussing the 4 options already agreed to, and they won't necessarily be discussing red peak, sir. What we will discover, and what we must be mindful of, is that Prime Minister, oh, Mr. Hudson, read the commentary. For goodness sake, in all of the legislation presented recently, you have wonderful song sheets telling us what this bill is about, but then you actually read the legislation and it has nothing whatsoever to do with what you claim it does on the explanatory notes. Yes. So, sir, the reality is, despite Mr. Hudson's commentary, is that there are now 5 blank options. And what I was saying before I was rudely interrupted was that what we will find, sir, is that those 5 options are not necessarily reflective of a process that the people of New Zealand had thought was a robust and principled one, sir. And would expect. What we find is 5 blank sheets where the Prime Minister and Cabinet can fill them in at their own device, sir, and New Zealanders need to be very, very wary of that. I'd just like to finish my contribution by speaking to a supplementary order paper presented in the name of Dennis O'Rourke, and it is to rename the piece of legislation to the New Zealand Flag Referendum Future Generations Will Not Forgive You Amendment Act 2015, because I have visited schools in Rotorua, sir, as part of my job to discuss youth parliament. And in those conversations, sir, they asked me what my position was on the flag change. They wanted to know where I stood, and I told them the truth. I love our current flag, and I do not want it to change, and I think this whole process has been a farce. And do you know what they said to me, sir? They completely agreed. These are 16-year-olds. 16-year-olds from all of the schools in Rotorua, sir, consistently and unanimously agreeing that this whole process is a farce. They were as upset as anyone else about the waste of New Zealand taxpayers' money on a referendum which doesn't even ask in the first place, do you want a flag change, sir? It is an insult to this House, and it is, sir, a waste of this House's time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.